Morning everybody, this is Josh over at Silver Arrow Service. Today we're working on this 2005 Volvo XC90. It is the 5-cylinder turbo. It's got about 172,000 miles on it, and the client complaint is that it's running rough. We have a check engine light on that is flashing, which is an indication of a misfire. What we're going to do is we're going to pull the spark plugs right now. We know that there's brand new spark plugs in here and we still have a misfire. It's primarily on cylinder number 1. So we're going to go ahead, pull our coils, pull our plugs, and we're going to do a compression and a leak down test. So I used an 8mm socket to take off the hold down screws for the coil packs. I'm gonna leave them plugged in. There's really no reason to unplug them at this time. We know that the spark plugs are good and we know that our coils are good. So we're gonna pull our plugs now. We wanna keep them in order so that we know which plug came out of which cylinder. Never wanna use an impact gun on spark plugs because you can crack the porcelain, and then that can also give you a misfire. So now we pulled the spark plugs. As you can tell, this is the spark plug out of cylinder number 2. You can see how nice and dry it is. And this one is out of cylinder number 1, and it's completely soaked. So knowing that the coil pack is good and the spark plug is good, I have a feeling we're gonna find that we probably have a burnt valve or something going on in this cylinder that's causing our misfire, and for this spark plug to not ignite the way it should be. Alright, so now what we've done is we took our coil packs off because we don't want them to spark while we're cranking the engine over. We've also disconnected all of our fuel injectors, which will get rid of the fuel. It'll stop the fuel from injecting into the cylinder. And then we've connected our compression gauge. So now we're going to crank the engine over and we're going to see how much compression we build, and we're going to compare it to each cylinder. Typically you'll have anywhere between 120 to 180 psi. And you want to make sure that there's no more than a 10% variation from cylinder to cylinder. So now we've moved over to cylinder 2 just to show you what the compression should look like on a known good cylinder. So now that we've completed the compression test, we contacted the client, and the client has declined us to go further. Essentially what we would have done is a leak down test. A leak down test could have told us exactly where the problem is. We would hook up another gauge set with compressed air, and you set the engine at top dead center, which would seal that cylinder. And basically you would either hear air coming from the oil pan, which it would come out of the oil cap, the intake, or the exhaust, and that would tell us whether or not we had bad piston rings, bad intake valves, or bad exhaust valves. But like I said, the client has declined to go further just because of the age of the car and the amount of miles on it. Next steps, if they had decided us to move forward and we did verify where it came from, you would decide whether or not to put an engine in it or take this one apart and rebuild it. So now we know that basically the engine's no good, and we figured out why we have a misfire on cylinder number 1. If you like this video, make sure to hit the like button below. Make sure to reach out to us. You can find us on Facebook, Silver Arrow Service, or online at silveraeroservice.com. And you can also give us a call, 603-566-2075. Thanks for watching.